Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session, the first FED Academic Dialogue Forum. Um, Before we officially start the forum, please be seated and we will first take a group photo. It's necessary. Um, okay, good afternoon, everyone. So now we will officially start our forum today. Uh, Good afternoon, Dean Fang and colleagues and participants online and on site. It's our greatest pleasure today to welcome you to the first FED Academic Dialogue Forum. I'm the chair for the first session of today's event. I'm Xinrun Yang from the Faculty of Education. The theme of the forum today is mathematics textbook research and the teachers' professional development. It's our greatest privilege today. We have five scholars from different parts of the world to share their opinions on textbook research and teacher professional development. Um, Before the following, first, please allow me to briefly introduce the format of the forum today. For the first session, the four scholars from different parts of the world will first make a 20 minutes of presentation. After the full presentation, there will be like 10 minutes for questions and sharing and discussion. Okay. Um, okay. So without further ado, I will introduce our first scholar today. Um, the first scholar is please allow me, forgive me, and it's quite difficult for me to say correctly for some names for the country and for the scholar and for the university. Okay, the first one is Alisa Pussy. You told me yesterday. Okay, she's from the Sapienza University of Rome. uh, Dr. Kusi is associate professor at the Department of Mathematics at the university and involved in both pre-service and in-service mathematics teachers training. And her research she's also now the vice president of the Italian Association for Research in Mathematics Education. And her main research interests include any algebra and innovative approach to algebra teaching, the role of teaching in designing and managing classroom discussion, mathematics teacher professional development, the use of digital technologies for formative assessment, and including the role of digital resource and artificial intelligence in supporting metacognitive process in mathematics learning. The title for her presentation today is the Italian Mathematics Curriculum, its routines in mathematics education research and recent change. Okay, now, it's it.
The use the okay. Can you hear me? So good afternoon. First of all, thanks for having invited me to be here. I'm very happy to be here in Macau. And today I would like to present the main ideas behind the mathematics curriculum in Italy. And I will complete my presentation with some reflection on recent changes that are being implemented now. So it's an ongoing process. So first of all, I would like to present the Italian school system very briefly. The education in Italy is governed by the Ministry of Education and Merit. This is the new name of the ministry, and MIM is the acronym. In the document, it is written that all schools, both public and private, are subject to comply with the curriculum and teaching methods laid down by the Ministry of Education. Education is compulsory and is free of charge for all children between the ages of 6 and 16. This is the structure. We have kindergarten, here it is translated with nursery school from 3 to 5, then primary school from 6 to 10 years, middle school that now is called lower secondary school from 11 to 13, and high school, upper secondary school from 14 to 19. Then students can decide to attend university courses, and these courses are from 3 to 5 years of duration. As I said before, education is compulsory, and the compulsory education is divided into three distinct sections. The primary school, which began at the age of 5, 6 and lasts for 5 years. The lower secondary school, which is a 3-year period from 11 to 14 years old, at the end of which the students have a diploma, which is called in Italian diploma di licenza media. Then there is a compulsory biennium at the upper secondary school. So that is the first 2 years period is compulsory for students. And at the end, students are given a certification of acquired competencies. These are the three main paths that characterize upper secondary education. So till middle school, the organization of the school is the same for all students in all the areas of Italy. As regards upper secondary education, there are three main paths. A path of general education, they are called the licei, the lyceum. In particular, for example, we have the scientific lyceum, which is focused on the teaching of scientific discipline and within which mathematics plays a central role, but also other lyceums, such as the artistic one, the classic, the linguistic, and so on. Then there are technical institutes that are mainly devoted to two areas, economic and technological, and also vocational institutes. The translation in Italian is istituti professionali, and they are divided into three main fields: services, industry, and handcraft areas. And now it's a recent introduction. A recent introduction was a 4-year experimental vocational program. So that is under experimentation in this moment. Now I can focus on the main theme of my talk, that is the Italian curriculum. Till now, we have two main reference documents. One document is called Le Indicazioni Nazionali, the National Guidelines, and it's for the first cycle, that is preschool and the first cycle of education, primary school and middle school. So till the age of 14 years old for the students. The documents to which we are referring till now were written in 2007 and then rewritten and adapted with some changes in 2012 and finally in 2018. And then there are another document, the National Guidelines for High Schools, that were written in 2010. In my title, I stress the fact that the curriculum in Italy is rooted into research in mathematics education. In fact, here there is the image of one of 3 books that were written during a long period of time starting from 2000 about. There are 3 documents that were written in 2001, 2003, and 2004 by a commission that was created by the Commission of the Teaching of Mathematics, which is a commission inside the Italian Mathematical Union. And this group of people were both researchers at the academic level and teacher researchers, because in Italy we have this tradition of teachers involved in action research within research projects. And so these teacher researchers collaborated with academic researchers in designing ideas for the curriculum. So not only ideas about contents and methodologies, but also examples of activities to be implemented in the classroom, examples of possible assessment activities for students. And the national guidelines of both preschool and first cycle level and high schools refer clearly in a very explicit way to this document, which is called La matematica per il cittadino, which means the mathematics for the citizens. So the idea is to give to students the tool necessary to become aware citizens of the world, not only of our country. I start with providing some main ideas which are within the national guidelines for the first cycle of instruction, of education. It is a single document for preschool, primary school, and lower secondary school to highlight the importance of connecting the levels, so that there is an educational project that starts from the preschool and finish at the end of lower secondary school. And they are intended, these guidelines, to establish general goals that define some prescriptive targets for the development of pupils' competencies. So these should be reached by the teachers and by the schools, and some learning objectives that are more specific and identifies fields of knowledge and skills that are considered to be fundamental to achieve the prescriptive targets, that is the general goals. One main idea, I said before, this idea of educating future citizens of the world. So one important idea is that the school role is to foster the development of a conscious identity in pupils. And the commitment for every pupil is to achieve those that are the key competencies for lifelong learning that are defined by the European Parliament. Here, in particular, I inserted the competencies strictly related to the subject of mathematics. That is the mathematical competence, which is defined as the ability to develop and apply mathematical thinking to solve a range of problems in everyday situations. And also learning to learn, that is metacognition, that is fundamental to be able to learn in an effective way. And it is defined as the competence that includes awareness of one's own learning process and needs, identification of available opportunities, and the ability to overcome obstacles in order to learn effectively. These are the main directions that are suggested within this document to build an effective learning environment for students' learning. So, first of all, it is stressed the need to value pupils' experience and knowledge, and to implement appropriate interventions with regard also to diversity in order to include all the students in the learning process. Another important idea is the focus on problem solving and the suggestion to foster exploration and discovery in order to promote also a taste for knowledge, so the need for knowledge, the motivation. Another element is collaboration, that is a focus on collaborative learning and to a social construction of knowledge. Then there is a key topic, which is typical of our research tradition in mathematics education, which is the idea of mathematical laboratory, which is not a place. It's not a room where students goes to make experiments using specific tools. The vision is wider. That is, mathematical laboratory is a set of activities that are designed by the teacher in order to make students operationalize their knowledge, construct their own knowledge, have the opportunity to study situations, to make experiments by their own, to formulate hypotheses, and then to try to justify their hypotheses. So with a dialogue and reflections among a group of people that work together. For this reason, the fifth idea that I put in these slides is the focus on argumentation. Argumentation is considered an important process for all subjects, but in particular also for mathematics education, because it's the step before proof, before formal reasoning, and it's needed to make students be more aware of their learning processes. So in the national guidelines, it is stressed that it is very important from the very beginning, also from preschool, to make students develop arguments, to share their knowledge, to discuss with each other. So it's a very important focus. High school. So these are the guidelines written in 2010. They were written in continuity with the first cycle curriculum directions. And they constitute the framework on which the institution, the educational institution, the schools, design what is called an educational offer plan, on which teachers build their educational path. The learning outcomes common to all high schools, so all the levels of a school that I presented in my previous slides, so not only Scientific Lyceum. The learning outcomes are divided into 5 areas. And here again, I focus on 2 main ones. That is logical argumentative area. We can see again a focus also on argumentation, which involves knowing how to support one's own thesis, how to listen and critically evaluate what other people are saying, so their arguments. It involves acquiring the habit of reasoning, which logical rigor also, which is typical of mathematics. Here we are at the high school level. So the idea is that the language becomes more and more specific and more formal. The ability of identifying problems and identifying also possible solutions to problems. And the capability of being critical, of developing critical thinking by critically reading and interpret different forms of communication. So also textbooks, also materials, not only the object of communication with other people in the classroom. This is the other area, mathematics and technology area. They are considered together. As I stressed before, there's a focus on understanding formal language of mathematics, a focus on knowing how to use procedures typical of mathematics, but in an aware way. So that is not only knowing procedure, but also understanding why they work, why they are effective. And also knowing the fundamental contents of theories that underlie the mathematical description of reality. These are some general lines. The objectives are divided into 3 main sections. The first 2 years, so I said before, high school is 5 years, so the first 2 years. The second 2 years and the 5th year is considered by itself. The core contents are arithmetic and algebra, geometry, relations and functions, and data and predictions. And it is written that at the end of the scientific high school, here I chose an excerpt focused on scientific high school, since, as I said before, is the school where mathematics play a key role, a central role, and there is also a final examination focused on mathematics, a written one. And so the idea is that the student will be, at the end of the school, will be familiar with elementary concepts of mathematics, but will also have acquired a historical critical view of the relationship between different themes of mathematics. So there is also not only an instrumental application of mathematics, but also a reflection about the epistemology of mathematics, so the cultural aspects related to the learning of mathematics. Again, it is written that at the end of the course, the student will have defined the processes that are characteristic of mathematical thinking, the basic methodologies for constructing mathematical models, and he will be able to apply what he has learned to the solution of problems. Also using digital tools. Here it is written computer tools, but we can say digital tools in general. And it is stressed, I read the sentence, without prejudice to the importance of acquiring the techniques, dispersion in repetitive technicalities or sterile case studies that do not contribute significantly to understanding the problems will be avoided. So the idea is, let's concentrate on the main ideas, on the students' real learning, by avoiding some typical technicality and mechanicism that sometimes are typical of a procedural approach to the teaching of mathematics. I'm not going to read all the slides, but I listed the general lines and competencies. As you can see, for geometry, the focus is on Euclidean geometry, both of the plane and the space. The focus is on algebra, on analytic geometry, on the Cartesian plane, also on the teaching of calculus, going to differential equations. These are for scientific lyceum, so the school where mathematics, as I said before, plays a central role, but also other important ideas coming from different domains of mathematics. In 2023, so it's a recent document, STEM education guidelines were written, and they provide suggestions for teaching STEM disciplines in an interconnected manner. So the idea is to make pupils acquire knowledge and competencies and reach goals that are foreseen in the national guidelines. So the idea is that this document is, again, in line and coherent with the guidelines that I've just presented. And it is stressed that it's important to encourage at all school levels, not only at high school, interdisciplinary teaching, hands-on learning, creative and critical use of technology, and at promoting inclusion, curiosity, autonomy, and again, the use of laboratorial approaches in mathematics. I finish with the two slides that are about the recent change, because in February 2025, a draft version of new national guidelines was shared with all the people, and in particular was discussed among different associations, and also the Association of Researchers in Mathematics Education is still working and still interacting with colleagues of other fields of discipline education to discuss the characteristic of these new documents. Here I put on the left what are the main aspects of the 2012 documents that I illustrated before. On the right, the changes that, according to us, according to my association, are represents, we can say, a step back, not a step forward in the education, in the teaching of mathematics, because pupils are not intended anymore as autonomous constructor of knowledge, as in the other document, but as sort of empty boxes. Obviously, it's not written that they are empty boxes, but the message is this one. That the message is also that the motivation starts from the teacher. Students are not by themselves motivated to learning mathematics. So these are strong sentences. And the teaching of disciplines, not only mathematics, but also other disciplines, is quite prescriptive. It's focused on the use of roles, on the importance of formalism. Since the very beginning, since also primary school, which was not a characteristic of the other document, in which students were encouraged to autonomously construct the tools, the mathematical tools. The focus on problem solving is still present, but is less related to students' autonomous exploration and discovery. The construction of knowledge as a collective activity, as a social activity, is no more a key idea in this document. And laboratorial activities are considered only as practical activity to be realized in laboratories. So not as a set of activities with specific characteristics and methodologies, as I said before. And unfortunately, the word argumentation has almost disappeared. So there is also a further element of novelty, that is the teaching of computer science with the main focus on programming is placed within mathematics in primary school and in lower secondary school till the very beginning. And so, according to my association and other association, it can create educational difficulties for several reasons, because at least as it is written now, it is not integrating in an interdisciplinary way in the mathematics and science curriculum. The objectives seems to be very difficult to be achieved too high level compared to the school level to which they refer. And it seems that the computer science is left as a separate subject within mathematics. So it would create also problems in the education and training of future teachers, for example, because till now they are not prepared to teaching these subjects. And the risk is of flattening the teaching of computer science within mathematics as mere algorithmic problem solving. So these are the main objections that we posed, but as I said, the debate is still in progress. We have only a draft document. We don't know what will happen. Unfortunately, it seems that differently from the other documents for which researchers in mathematics education and teachers were involved, this time these communities were not involved. And so I don't know what will happen. So so thank you, and sorry if I used more than my time, sorry.
Okay, thanks very much, Dr. Kosa. I think because of the language issue, we don't know, or we don't read that much about math education and the mathematics curriculum in Italy. Thanks very much for the valuable introduction. Okay, next we will shift our focus to the Netherlands. It's you, right? Yeah, the next one. Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Mark van Zanter. First, also, please allow me to briefly introduce Dr. van Zanter to you. Dr. Mark van Zanter is a senior curriculum expert in mathematics at the Netherlands Institute for Curriculum Development, and he is also a guest researcher at the Fundamental Institute. For those who are not from math education, this institute is a very influential math education research institute. His main responsibility at the moment is the development and the maintenance of the mathematics curriculum at the national level. His research interests include strategy used in arithmetical mathematics problem solving, mathematics textbooks, and the learning opportunity in mathematics education. He is also a board member of the Dutch Association for the Development of Mathematics Education, and he is also an author of quite a few mathematics textbooks used in Netherlands. Today, Dr. van Zanter will discuss primary school mathematics curriculum in the Netherlands, update of statutory core objectives, influence on textbooks. Okay, now it's used. Okay.
In schools? Oh, thank you. Primary education is one type of school for most students, but when they leave primary education, they can go to several types of secondary schools, which most pupils do at the age of 12. The government has set objectives for the end of primary school and the end of lower secondary school, which in most countries is middle school. And I will talk a bit about that. The current versions of those core objectives are from 2006, which mean they are rather old and were developed in another community, another society as today. One thing that characterizes the Dutch educational system is the constitutional freedom of education, which dates from the Middle Ages on, and as a result of the religious disputes that were quite heavy in the Netherlands. It is now laid down in the constitution, and it's as a consequence, the Dutch government is only involved in the content, what they call the what of education, and is not involved at all in the way that schools take form of their education, which is called the how of education. And this is, at one hand, a very strict policy, and at the other hand, politicians do intend to say some things about the how of education. Sometimes a certain politician says, well, that's not a good way. Schools should not do it in this way. And then other politicians say, oh, wait a minute, that's none of our business. As a consequence, schools themselves can choose their own pedagogical and didactical ways of teaching, and they are also free to choose their own textbooks. And in the Netherlands, everybody can publish textbooks, also as a result of the freedom of education, and there are no regulations to guide or to guide the quality of them. It's not controlled in any way. Anyone can put textbooks on the market. Another thing important of mathematics education in the Netherlands is the so-called realistic mathematics education. Perhaps you've heard of it, I don't know. It originated in the Netherlands. It was developed from the 1970s on at Poynter Institute, which still exists. First, its focus was on primary education. It was a very influential way of didactical approach to mathematics education, especially in the 1990s and the early years of 2000s. But it also became a bit controversial from the year of 2005 on. Then there were the first signs of sort of back to basics kind of programs. Currently, the situation is as follows. There are very many elements of realistic mathematics education that are so generally accepted that most teachers and people do not even know that they were at the original RME. They don't know it or don't realize it. But at the same time, there is a strong revival of direct instruction, which goes along with a set against distorted images of RME as discovery learning, which in fact it is not. For the renewal of the mathematics curriculum, it was a very important element that the government prescribed that the new goals should be used. That they had to be used by all schools, whether the precise didactical or pedagogical course that they follow. For mathematics, that means that it should not be RME goals. It should also not be direct instruction goals, but whatever method you follow to describe, to realize your mathematics education, all schools must be able to use the new goals, the new objectives. So this was the formal assignment, to update the national curriculum for along other language, another learning areas, mathematics, for primary education and lower secondary education. It was started with objectives for Dutch language and for mathematics, because those two subjects are seen as the core subjects for education, alongside with citizenship and digital literacy. They followed a few years later. And you also have a few governments now, and especially the citizenship has followed, how do you say it? At first it was considered very important, then there was another government who considered it not important at all, and now we will have a new government and we'll have to wait what direction this government will take. Regarding mathematics and education, this was the leading question for the renewal of the curriculum. What mathematical knowledge and skills do Dutch students need to be well prepared for their future in a rapidly changing society? And this is a sketch of the method that was used to realize renewal of the curriculum and to find an answer to the leading question. We had roughly three phases in the work. First, a problem analysis, which considered of a literature study and a comparative analysis of curricula, mathematics curricula from other countries. Then there was a development stage in which the main quality criteria were the relevance and consistency of the concept new curriculum objectives. And to do so, additional literature studies regarding several mathematical topics were carried out. First and subsequent drafts were put up, and during the process, drafts were given to teachers and experts to collect feedback, to further refine and develop the concept objectives. After that stage, a tryout stage took place, in which around 2,000 schools tried out some aspects or all aspects of the new core objectives in their own schools, in their own practice. There was also an additional expert meeting, and the concept objectives were kind of finalized to final drafts. So I'm going to give you an impression about the few stages. These were some of the main results of the problem analysis phase. That ICT and big data were more and more of influence on society and also education. That mathematical language is becoming more and more important in our society, and also the use of mathematical language in communication. And there have been, for some time now, continuous concerns regarding the mathematical abilities of our students, especially in a society and the political arena, but not so much in scientific research. But nevertheless, we had to take this into concern. The work in the Development stage was carried out by a team consisting of teachers from both primary and secondary school, experts in mathematics and curriculum experts together. And the advisory board, which one of the main groups that provided us feedback, existed of representatives of all unions and societies regarding mathematics and mathematics education in the Netherlands. And I'm giving you some impressions about the results, the final draft core objectives. We've developed some rather new names of mathematical domains for the objectives, which you can see here: mathematical concepts, mathematical ways of thinking, and mathematics and the world. Three perspectives on the mathematical content that is included in the objectives. And here you see an overview of all the learning content that is included in the final draft concepts. For example, regarding mathematical concepts, numbers, ratios, data, equations, and so on are included. Mathematical ways of thinking involve, among other things, mathematical problem solving and modeling. Especially mathematical problem solving is not new. It was already included in the current core objectives, but most teachers consider it especially new, and that is because nowadays, for some time, I must say, teachers almost exclusively work at problem solving with their beta students, and the core objectives are meant for all students, so many teachers think it's a new objective. And finally, mathematics and the world includes, among other things, the aim of schools to help students develop a mathematical attitude, mathematical way of thinking, and looking at the world through a mathematical pair of glasses, so to say. When I reflect upon the results, I think there's been reached a balance between already existing knowledge and new learning content. And the new perspectives especially include critical mathematical thinking, aspects of algorithmic thinking and mathematical modeling. And there's more emphasis put the objective regarding data is formulated as follows. The student analyzes and reasons about data sets, which includes drawing up tables, calculating, interpreting, and using measures of central tendency, making graphical representations themselves, choosing appropriate representations, and at the last bullet, you see a critical thinking to interpret graphical representations and reason whether the conclusion presented are correct, incorrect, or partially correct. Now, the influence on textbooks. I mentioned already that anybody can make textbooks in the Netherlands. In practice, there are 4 main primary and 3 main secondary school mathematics textbooks on the market, published by around 3 publishers. Some publishers publish 2 different textbooks. Others have only 1. But they are all independent and commercially active. All also claim that they include all the obligatory learning content in their textbooks. As a researcher, I have done some textbook analysis over the years, and it is not especially necessarily true in all elements and all details of the intended curriculum. But they aim to do so, and they also aim that they are all very willing to do so. So we'll have to see about that. We are very optimistic because we as a National Institute are in close relationship to other publishers. We organize several meetings throughout the year to talk about the developments, to talk about what is new in the new core objectives and what are ways to work on those new elements. So we are rather optimistic about this. Some publishers consider this a real challenge, and those are especially the publishers that publish a more basic, a more traditional ways of textbooks, while others say it's just a natural development of our textbooks. We have to go along the way that we are already going, so we think we will manage. At a more formal points of view, the Union of Publishers claims to the government that they need at least 2 developmental years from the legal establishment of the new core objectives on. Up until 1 week ago, it was expected that the new core objectives would be legally established in 2026. But when I took my plane to come here, it was in the news that our current government has fallen. So a new government we have to elect it and chosen. So we will have to wait what direction this new government will take. So we are not sure yet when they will be legally accepted. Thank you.
Much, Dr. Wayne Center. I believe we all know more about the policy change in Netherlands and how the change of policy influence the textbook development in Netherlands. And I also believe you all have quite a lot of questions want to ask. Please write down your questions in case you will forget. Okay, now we will shift our focus to South Africa. We will have a scholar from South Africa. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Malanya Lesotho, right? It's a challenge, okay. Dr. Malanya Lesotho is the director of the Pre-University Academy at the University of Pretoria in South Africa. Dr. Lesotho has been educated in 3 different countries. She received her first degree from the National University of Lesotho. And also he master's degree in mass education from the University of Reading in the UK. And later on, he PhD in mass education from the University of Western under the supervision of Professor Jill Elder, a very big name in mass education. Her research interests are in the relationships between teachers and the textbooks. She is now working on exploring what mathematical resources and the frameworks could be implemented in the pre-university academy to help students succeed in mathematics. His presentation for today is influencing textbook research in professional development for mathematics teachers in South Africa. Okay, now let's welcome Dr. Lesotho. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My talk today is going to be not basically about the system, educational system in South Africa, but it's going to be more about what South Africa is facing right now in terms of education. For many of you, you will know that South Africa has a bit of political history with apartheid. And at the moment, 30 years on, we are still grappling a lot with some of the issues in terms of education. The team's results for South Africa are not good. They haven't been good for the last 10 years. We've seen some improvements, but we are hoping that we will get there. But before I start, a few months back, there was this big statement. President Donald Trump jokes that nobody has heard of Lesotho. And I just thought, for sure here in Macau, Professor Fen knows about Lesotho because he knows me. So why am I talking about Lesotho? Because Lesotho is where I come from. If you look at the map of South Africa down there, there's that country, Lesotho there, here. And some people think it's just something, a lake inside South Africa. That's the country where I'm coming from. It is a kingdom of Lesotho, a very mountainous area where about 30 square kilometers and very small population of not more than 1 million people. And so we are surrounded completely by South Africa with 60 million people. We fight a lot with South Africa, but at the end of the day, they defeat us because we can see their size and our size. One of the things that happen is that many of us then will go and work in South Africa, which is where I'm working. So I'm working at the University of Pretoria here. From Lesotho, I've been there for quite a long time. I studied in South Africa as well for my PhD. I just wanted to say, President Donald Trump, some people know, and I had to explain, just in case some of you had not heard about Lesotho. Okay, and so where am I now? I was trying to figure out, in terms of Macau and Lesotho, I've really come a long way, isn't it? From the tip of Africa down there to where I am here. So yes, okay, thank you so much. So after establishing that, I would like to talk about South Africa now and what is happening 30 years after the end of apartheid in terms of education, in terms of mathematics education. On 29 May 2025, the Minister of Basic Education, I've put in some few statements here, and these are the statements I'm going to be talking about. We have to infuse quality into our education for children in disadvantaged rural communities. We obsess about the national certificates, but we are neglecting foundations of learning. 80% of South African learners cannot read for meaning in any language by the age of 10. We have identified foundational learning as a priority during this administration. When we lay solid foundations, we get the later years, including maths and literacy. The reason I'm putting these statements here is to show that, as I have indicated, not very good performance in mathematics and science in teams and panels and others. The government is now trying to say we are going to start at foundation level because that's where we think we got it wrong all along. And so that's where we are going. Other issues are the problems with the mother tongue. We have 11 official languages in South Africa. A lot of teaching is happening with English and some in Afrikaans, but Afrikaans is going out. And so the Black population is fighting and saying, we want our kids to be educated in their own language because we know what it means to learn in a foreign language. We don't know how possible that is, but this is a new move now in South Africa to try and get learning happening from grade 4. Instead of doing it all in English, introduce it in some other languages as well. Safety is the problem in the schools in South Africa, and I think this is one of the things that the minister is talking about. So as I said, the teams, the SIACMEC is the Association of Southern and East Africa Maths communities. They also have the examinations like teams. And what we find is that the socioeconomic status in South Africa is still the main indicator of performance. Children coming from high socioeconomic status at home and also at school are performing highly. Children that are low socioeconomic status, and this is the majority of the children in South Africa, are really underperforming, especially in maths and science, even in English. The language of learning and teaching. For those that use the same language at home and at school, it's okay. But for many of the children, the language of teaching and learning at school, which is usually English, it's not what they use at home, is becoming a problem and they are underperforming. Gender disparities, we've been working a lot with improving girls and everything, and now South Africa is having a problem. The girls are outperforming the boys in maths and science in every way. Now we are having to find ways to get boys back into school. The resources as well, school resources, the learners in well-resourced schools perform better. And as you can imagine, from low socioeconomic status, they are in the low socioeconomic schools, they are underperforming. This is the majority, is pulling everybody backwards. Teacher training and practices. So teacher training and practices, again, is varied and variable in the provinces. You find that the Western Cape, where it is more whites and administered by the whites, is actually doing well. Many of the schools and the socioeconomic status of the province is quite high, so they're doing better. The Eastern Cape, where you really get a lot of low socioeconomic status, is bad, and the teachers are distributed like that. So the best quality teachers are in the private schools, in the provinces that are doing well, and in the other schools, in the provinces that are not doing well, you find the teachers where the quality is not right. Remember, during apartheid, the policy of the South African government then was, do not teach Black people mathematics. So the education in mathematics that most Black people received during apartheid was of very low quality in colleges of education which didn't have really good teachers. We are having a problem of majority of teachers in the schools are people that did not get good education in mathematics. They are passing on this already. So there's a lot of pressure in teacher training and development. Equity in resource distribution is also a problem. So what are the recommendations? There's nothing we can do. We cannot produce the millions and millions of teachers that we need immediately. So what do? Teacher professional development is needed a lot, but teacher development initiatives that really what is happening now, the teacher professional development in the country is run by NGOs, non-governmental organizations, not research informed. And so somebody comes in, runs this course this afternoon, and they get money and they go, and there's nothing to show for it. And so government is trying to say, let's formalize it. And I think this is where now I'm saying to colleagues here and Macau people, we invite you to South Africa to work with us. So if anybody is interested, talk to me after the meeting. Thank you. We need to form professional development that will equip the teachers to teach mathematics better. And I think that will be the best way. Another one, we are trying to get teaching the children in their mother tongue. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the 11 languages, but we are hoping we'll get there. And the gender disparities also, we got to target those. Okay. So the issue of South Africa right now, 30 years on after apartheid from 1994, is an issue of redress the wrongs of the past and try to get things working well for everybody. It's also about equity. Can we get that Black child also managing to do well? You know, they go to school, they have ambition and so forth. So this is where the pre-university academy, where I'm working from at the University of Pretoria, decided. The University of Pretoria is one of the big universities in South Africa, surrounded by townships, and the children in these townships don't get to go to university. because they're not qualified to get in. So we started the pre-university academy, the university saying, we are going to give back. We get students from the townships to come in from grade 8 to the last grade, which is grade 12, and we help them in mathematics and science and everything else that they need to do so that they get a better chance of getting admission into the University of Pretoria. So we do that in mathematics and science, and also socio-cultural and basically psychosocial support that we can give. You can imagine many of these children, no one in the home has ever been to university. Some don't even finish high school, and they'll be the first people to try and get into university. We value conceptual learning and trying to make it better for the students when they come to university. I'm going to move very quickly into this because what I wanted to say is that in 2017, Jill Etler and a group at Wits University did some compilation of what is happening with research in mathematics education in South Africa. Many of the papers, the few that they could get, are mostly about secondary school teachers, as you see that. They are mostly about PCK, and I think it's understandable with the problems that I've just said, that it's about PCK. But then the problem is there's more of this from non-mathematical topics, so that when you get to the actual content of mathematics, you don't find much of this research in there. And I think this is what is lacking and why we also need professional development. And so we are saying, but what we are seeing now is there's lots of research on mathematics and language, both at primary school and secondary, but there's also a lot of research coming up now from the primary school, especially in mathematics. Government gave and research centers give money. I think some people knew of a Professor Hamza Venkat. They work on the primary project where they try to put in interventions in mathematics. And the textbook research in South Africa is not big at all. You go on the internet and try to find that, you'll find very few people that are really working on textbook research in South Africa, and those that include myself. But yesterday we went to a school and I was salivating. Every one of those learners in there had some tablet, a Padlet. And I was thinking, I wish it were for my students because we don't have those gadgets. The government tried in the past 5 years to start this project with gadgets. It didn't work. And so we have just abandoned that. We really depend, the students and the teachers depend highly on the textbook. Our textbooks are written by anybody who wants to, but they are regulated. So they go through some checking with the government officials to say, yes, they are related to the curriculum. But I think my question is, and I think these are the questions in my research and what we want to do. What is the teacher's pedagogical design capacity? In other words, how do they use, are they able to detect and see what are the affordances in the textbook and use this well and more productively? The research I did for my PhD said, no, we use the textbook, but the teachers don't really use it productively. So we want to look at the pedagogical design capacity. What kinds of relationships do teachers form with their textbooks? Is it reflective use or is it just tacit use, where they only use it for exercises and not other pedagogical decisions? But then the other thing is, are they worth forming a relationship with? What's in these textbooks? And I think that's what we need to analyze the content of our textbooks in South Africa and say, are they worth it? Are they helping the teachers and the learners to get the most of mathematics? And I think that's the biggest thing that we'd like to do. So I know there's big textbook research around China. And so again, an invitation to work with us on this. This is the first group of students from the pre-university academy. They went into university this year in South Africa. There were 50 group of students. About 35 of them have been admitted at the University of Pretoria in engineering, in medicine, in the Faculty of Science, and few in education. But it's been a really big step for us to say these kids are now coming into university, and we hope that they will succeed. Before I came here, last Friday, I had a meeting with them to say, how are you doing? They are doing well. But all of them in all the programs that are doing, they're finding real problems with mathematics. And so my question is, how can we help the learners succeed in mathematics at university, given where they come from? It's an invitation for research from the team here. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much for sharing with us the reality in South Africa. And our last speaker will bring us to Indonesia. Okay, so first allow me to briefly introduce Dr. Diana Vayanti. Sorry. I really don't know how to say your family name correctly, you know. Dr. Vayanti finished a PhD at the University of Copenhagen in 2017, and then she worked as a lecturer at the University Asalan Santa Ageng in Central Java in Indonesia. She balanced her teaching with research and also managing her position as the head of the university publishing unit. But in November of 2023, she started to work as a postdoc fellow at the Asian Center for Mathematics Education at East China Normal University with Tim Fan. So his research interests include textbook research, curriculum development, and teacher professional development. Okay, today what she is going to share with us is how a teacher is adaptive practicer and using mathematics textbook tasks to support personalized professional development. Okay, now stage is used.
Thank you, Simrong Laushi, for the kind introduction. A scholar and mathematics educator, a professor, and also presenter. I really enjoy your talk. Today, I am gonna talk about teacher professional development. And before that, I can relate what Dr. Minawang said, that most of professional development in South Africa were run by NGO, because that's exactly what I'm going to present now, professional development running by NGO in Indonesia. The title of my talk this afternoon is Teachers as Adaptive Practitioner Using Mathematics Textbook Tasks to Support Personalized Professional Development. And then I'm sorry, I add additional term based on high-touch instructional support. So yeah, I'm sure that most of you familiar with high-tech, high-touch implementation, but let's do a quick recall regarding this matter. High-tech implementation relate to the adaptive learning software to implement differentiate instruction for foundational mathematics skill development. While high-touch instructional support cultivate higher order learning through engaged lesson that simultaneously nurture students' numeracy skill. As you can see, the four picture were based on our project. The first and the second is about high-tech implementation, and then the second and the third and the fourth is about high-touch implementation. I know in some country, in some project, they kind of hybrid. They can have a hybrid implementation between high-tech and high-touch. For example, like in one lesson, they have high-tech. They learn using software and at the same time implement high-touch in one lesson. But due to limited infrastructure, software, computer, classroom, even headphone, we as a team decide to separate the implementation. So for example, in Monday, students work with software, mathematics software, and then the next day, teachers and students work with high-touch instructional activity. So actually, this project contain of 3 stages. First, preparation, implementation, and baseline and inline survey. And then in each stage, they have different theme. Like for example, in the preparation section, we have 2 different teams to prepare the high-touch model and teacher professional development plan. And then in the implementation section, we also have 2 different teams where my colleague and I were in the high-touch professional development implementation. And then the last one, we have baseline and inline survey. And then they mostly focus on the quantitative result. For example, like the effectiveness of the whole project, while the qualitative information regarding high-touch implementation never been reported yet publicly. So I would like to invite you to discuss our proposal regarding this matter. So, by the way, this is our project in 2022. So it's quite a long time ago, but I hope it's still lenient with our current professional development issue. So the first research question is how does personalized professional development utilizing a mathematics textbook support teacher implementation of numeracy focused instruction while aligning with a reform priority such as a different instruction. We will focus on the training season, help desk support, classroom practice, and we will kind of omit this one, monitoring and evaluation activity, because we haven't finished our analysis yet. And how do teachers vary in their adaptation of professional development strategies? So as you can see that there are many organization, institution involved in this project. For the technical information, so in total, the participant of this high-touch implementation are 47 teachers and more than 1,000 and 400 students, including a support team, 3 facilitator, 3 district coordinator, and me as a provincial coordinator. Well, actually, we also have another high touch implementation in different province, but they have their own team as well. So for the training session, these are our training session material. But I would like to highlight that we have material regarding diverse students, and then how to use and develop meaningful and stimulating math problem based on higher order thinking skill, and then also this one. How to foster collaboration, scaffold critical thinking, and empower student autonomy in problem solving. And then as you can see in the PowerPoint also, we have a participant worksheet for the first block, teacher mindset. We call it teacher mindset training. And then in the high touch training, we have 2 books, participant worksheet, and then mathematic question bank. So what we call mathematic textbook in the title is or the other. For the help desk support, actually, it's start with our first station, because initially we planned that help desk support role or serve communication channel between facilitator and teachers, addressing issue that arise during high touch implementation, and also assist teacher with lesson plan development and creation of mathematical problem. And then the format is 3 to 4 online group discussion. However, in reality, of course, teachers are busy, of course. So we decide to have only online meeting, and then we add personal chat, Zoom, and then also one-on-one session and group discussion. Even we have face-to-face supervision at school. And then our focus is only to develop a lesson plan. However, the help desk, because of that help desk support, we found that the help desk support is so flexible, so can help teachers to organize their time. And then for the classroom observation, we also face similar situation. Teachers are busy always, and then we kind of provide flexibility of teaching schedule, and also mathematical problem used in the lesson strategy. So they can use the question bank, and also all the thing, like all the textbook that they have to develop their lesson plan. So although classroom observation score varied, we identify multiple instructional strategies that teacher employ when presenting similar mathematical text. So in the following PowerPoint, we will try to have 3 representative cases. We'll to analyze or to illustrate this strategic adaptation. This is example of the similar tasks that 3 teachers use in their classroom observation. So it's in the material of proportion, ratio and proportion, 7th grade. we want to make a muffin, and then we have ingredient for 12 muffin, but at the same time, Mrs. Susan have a different situation regarding their ingredient, and then the student are asked to determine the maximum number of muffin Mrs. Susan can make using the ingredients she has. So this is the question, and then how teacher adopt this tasks. So the case of Miss Erna. So Miss Erna began by demonstrating basic proportion tags, and then assign a tags without a scaffolding. Without scaffolding, just gave the student this question, and interestingly, two distinct solution approach emerged among students. First, intuitive recognition, and then the second one is a comprehensive proportional analysis. Because we are so curious, in a post-lesson interview, the teacher articulate her belief in student capability in intentional avoidance of scaffolding to preserve creative problem-solving opportunity. The second class is Mr. Eco class. So as you can see, Mr. Eco provide student worksheet. Mr. Eco implement or provided two distinct scaffolding. The first is the limiting ingredient method using parallel evaluation, and then the second one employ the tabular verification. Despite teacher prompt encouraging alternative approach during discussion section, no additional problem-solving strategies emerge from students beyond those initially demonstrated, unfortunately. Last class, Miss Hasanah class. So Miss Hasanah class also provide a student worksheet. Then Miss Hasanah also provide two scaffolding, and then the third one is she trying to give student freedom whether the student have another strategies. And then so she explicitly prompt alternative strategies in the worksheet. Student adjust to model method, and suggesting either cognitive fixation or the need for additional creative problem-solving support, highlight the balance between guide practice and autonomous discovery in mathematics instruction. So in conclusion, we have three main things here. First, high-touch implementation, participant worksheet and question bank. We have also help desk support, like flexible and accessible help desk support, and also the flexibility of teaching schedule for classroom observation. And the result is the teacher can adapt multiple instructional strategies. However, we face another problem here because as we can see that refining differentiate instruction in math education by aligning scaffolding with both skill acquisition and creative thinking goal. So this is kind of a dilemmatic situation for us that we need to elaborate more later in the next our professional development. So yeah, that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks very much, Dr. Wijayanti. Okay, I hope I say your name correctly this time. Okay, now I think the four scholars all present their work. Now we have 10 minutes for question and so I believe we have time for 4 or 5 questions in total. So anyone has any question want to ask any of the presenters? Okay, anyone has any question, comments, or sharing? If not, I want to take this advantage to ask you one question first. My first question goes to Dr. Kuzi. Yes, in your presentation, you mentioned that, I noticed that from the latest curriculum, I think it's the curriculum you are going to use, start to use in 2025, right? You mentioned such kind of information, and you mentioned in that coming curriculum, the argumentation will be disappeared. Is any reason behind why argumentation will be disappeared? Okay, thank you.
Does it work? Yes. Unfortunately, as I said, the main problem with this new curriculum that is still in a draft mode, so we are not sure what will happen exactly, if some changes will be implemented because there was a discussion. But the main problem is that it was not shared before, differently from what Mark presented, and that the curriculum was thought in a group with different professionals involved, also teachers, researchers in mathematics education. In this case, it didn't happen. So we don't know the reasons why. So we only read the document and observed that there is not the same focus that there was before on the idea of argumentation. So somehow it appears in some objectives, but it's like it's behind the scene, not at the center of the scene. I think it's related to the fact that there is more attention on formalization. And so maybe those that wrote these new guidelines think that focusing a lot on argumentation, which are different modes, less formal modes of communication in mathematics, maybe they think that it's not the main objective of mathematics education. But unfortunately, I don't know what are the reasons. I can only make some hypotheses.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Dingfang.
Thank you. Following Professor Yang's question, actually, I had the same question. But you see, argumentation is being introduced from preschool. Yes, do preschools, education schools have textbooks? So you won't be able to check if it's present in textbook. But how about primary school? You have textbooks? And anyone study if argumentation idea is already integrated in the primary school textbooks?
And I have also some slides about textbooks, but there was no time to present. In Italy, teachers can choose, so they are free to choose the kind of textbook. So also for primary school, yes. And so some textbooks are more in line with guidelines, others less. But if we look at guidelines, there is really a strong focus on argumentation, considered both as being able to communicate their own thinking and to listen to others' thinking and comparison and sharing. So when I said that it's a focus starting from preschool, I was focusing mainly on the guidelines, because some textbooks are, I have to say, are not in line with guidelines, but are still used because teachers are free to choose the textbooks that they prefer.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Yes. First time to learn about Italian math curriculum and textbooks. I was really impressed. For argumentation, maybe this is the most evident in the curriculum in Italy compared to other countries. I think later you also mentioned proof and so on and so forth. But I think I was really impressed. Argumentation occupies such a central place in Italian curriculum. I guess it's not so much in Macau curriculum or Chinese curriculum.
Yeah.
Starting from primary.
Yes, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, any other questions from the audience or online participants? Any other question?
Otherwise, they can wait for the next.
Okay.
In
Yes,
Chinese TV, they say, "Don't walk away. Wait for the better part."
Yeah.
How to say that?
Okay, if I don't have any further questions.
Yeah. No,
I can
mean,
stop now, right? Okay. Okay, if you don't have any further questions or you just want to discuss individually with any of the speakers, now is your turn. We will have 10 minutes for freshmen, and after 10 minutes, I think we will start the second part of today's FED Academic Dialogue Forum. We will start at 4:10. Okay. Yeah. So now we will have 10 minutes for freshmen.
Okay. So then we join me to ask them questions later. We have about 1 hour to ask.
Do remember to come back.
When I listened to the presentation, looks like in Italy, so for the curriculum for preschool and primary school, latest is 2018. Then for secondary is 2010. So what's the answer? Do we have other microphone?
Yes, in the last new national guidelines that were published in a draft version in February this year.
Yeah.
There are some references to the role of artificial intelligence. In particular, it is written that it's important to consider the advent of these new kind of technologies and the fact that students are using them. So we cannot avoid reflecting on the use of artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, the answer that they gave is that in order to make students understand how they can use artificial intelligence effectively, the solution is introducing computer science, as I said before, into mathematics. Because the idea is that only if you know how programming can be developed, you can understand the use of digital resources, why there are also other ways of making students reflect on these tools. So they are considered, but till now, I think there are a lot of programs, a lot of also professional development developed at a private level, but the research on the use of these tools is still not well deepened.
Thank you very much. So, Lucas, so attention has been paid to AI, but it's still at the early stage.
Yes.
Okay. So how about Hong Kong? We're very much interested.
In Hong Kong, I think that AI is not reflected in the mass curriculum, but AI currently is integrated in different kinds of professional training. For example, we have PDP, Professional Development Program, conducted by some universities. So there's a new term for this program. We call it emerging technology, because emerging technology has a broad range, including AI. Yesterday, I know that there's a news published by the Hong Kong Education Bureau. Then they claimed now to align with the national report about AI plan. So Hong Kong government now promote, for example, AI for teachers and AI in STEM education. But I guess maybe AI, this element could be integrated in the future mass curriculum review in the coming years.
Thank you very much. So how about South Africa?
The big answer is no.
Okay.
And no, because at school level, there's not even a discussion. At university level, we are still fighting.
Okay.
There's lots of resistance, but there's also people that are saying we cannot avoid it. It's coming, but I'm not sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Turn it on. Yeah.
In the Netherlands, it is not present in the mathematics curriculum, nor in the proposal for the renewed curriculum, but it is present in the proposal for digital literacy curriculum.
Okay, thank you. How about Indonesia?
We don't have such kind of AI in the textbook and curriculum, but yeah, the government tried to develop some guideline and professional development, but still in the early stage.
Thank you very much. Any feedback or suggestion or whatever from the floor of online? Yeah, maybe I can share some of my observation about the AI in education and AI in mass education in mainland China and in Macau. So in mainland China, the Ministry of Education already issued a policy document. They say by 2030, so after 5 years, so AI will be integrated into the school curriculum from primary to senior high school into education. So now it is a huge challenge for teacher training, teacher development, because it's somehow very much new. So we needed to train teachers. And then related to Macau, you see the boss, the secretary, the highest level, and the government chief, they call the chief executive. Say Macau education reform will be centered on AI. So this University of Macau will launch a new Master of Science program in AI in education. So we will start the master program, I think likely next September. So it's already got approved. Then our colleagues, including some people here, are preparing courses for in-service training. So to work together with DSEDJ, that's a Portugal name for Education Bureau here, Education and Youth Development Bureau here. So a Faculty of Education will also offer in-service training courses soon, starting in a few months' time. Yeah. Okay. Any question?
May echo one point of your response. Just mention you will in University of Macau will initiate the master program.
Yes.
In AUHK, Education University of Hong Kong, now since this academic year, I mean, in university level, they will launch a new a new structure of double major, a Bachelor of Education in Mathematics, primary level. So double major means a major in mathematics and major in AI. So the student will study mathematics and math education and AI together.
Okay.
This is a new.
Yes, we did a study the program structure of your university, your future university, University of Hong Kong, and also some other universities. We study also Harvard University have a certificate in at AI. This is done by Harvard Graduate School of Education. So, but anyway, thank you very much. So maybe next time we can share in the textbook conference in Macau, focus on AI based, yeah, textbook. So, Alex, can you monitor the online if they have questions? Okay, not yet. And then I would take this chance to ask you another question. So what do you think are the most important features of or characteristics of the development or reform in math education, particularly math curriculum and textbook development, or more generally, of course, math education? Like here's the number one highlighted word is AI by the government. So in your country, of course, in your city or region in Hong Kong, in otherwise I was, so maybe this time we start from Diana. In Indonesia, you see you have new curriculum over the last few years, right? So how will you describe? What's the highlight?
The highlight, of course, not AI, but the highlight is I think differentiate instruction and project-based learning. Still
Differentiated instruction.
Differentiate
You mean
instruction.
teacher different using different ways to teach different students?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we have question. Okay, so maybe if we have a question, you can type it up online. Anyone from online, you type questions, we will give you one appreciation. Anyway, I don't know how, but we would like to invite you to ask questions. Anyway, so differentiated teaching. So that's the first. What's the second?
Project-based learning.
Project-based learning. So that is very much similar to the Chinese mass curriculum reform. Or actually, project-based learning is popular or across all school subjects in China now. Project-based learning, so it's a highlight. Thank you. Yeah. How about in Netherlands? You mentioned realistic math education might be slightly declined.
Well, in one way, yes, because there's there's opposition to it, especially opposition to a distorted image of it, and on the other hand, many aspects of realistic mathematics education, like the use of models, like the use of real-world situations, like the use of reflection, it's all incorporated in all textbooks and all math classes. And like I said before, it's not so much considered a realistic mathematics education, but just one of the aspects of mathematics education.
Okay.
But when you said that Indonesia is moving towards more project-based education, math education, that's kind of interesting, because in the Netherlands, almost all subjects are moving into more project-based curriculum, except the Dutch language and mathematics, because they're concerned so much the basic skills that it couldn't be given in the form of project education. So that's an interesting difference.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. May I follow your answer again to raise another question? I heard, if I'm not mistaken, in Netherlands, there were kind of basic skill tests in mathematics at the end of the second level, but the test item is about the primary school levels, basic arithmetic. Is this still true in Netherlands, or you never heard of it?
I'm not sure if I understand you correctly. We used to have a test at the end of primary school, which was kind of determining, considering the form of secondary educations that pupils can go to. It's a bit changed. It's not called the end of primary school test anymore. It's now, let me search the right English word. It's now, the Dutch word is doorstroom, like a continuing pathway. So it's like a continuing pathway tests, but it's still used to determine whether what kind of secondary education children can go to. So, now, as a result of the new renewed core objectives, both this test probably will change, but it's in the current situation with the new government upcoming, I have no idea what way it will go.
Okay, thank you very much. So the kind of debate between realistic mathematics education and non-realistic math education, or traditional math education, is still going on or not in Netherlands?
In a way it does, not as extremely as in the years 2000. And I think when I look at school practice in primary and secondary education at the school level, teachers are not really interested in it. Most teachers say, well, I just give good math education, including some aspects of realistic mathematics education and including some aspects of more traditional mathematics education. So in practice, it's more an elective way of education, just like it's always been, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. We will continue to watch over what's going on. I think Netherlands realistic message has a bigger influence in Indonesian message.
We have so many professional development
Yeah.
based on realistic mathematics education.
The influence is getting stronger or getting
I
weaker?
think it's getting stronger because we find, I think I recognize two centers related to realistic mathematics education. One in Sumatra Island and then one in Java Island. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Thank you. Very enlightening. Dr. Lisa Manoa?
Our issues currently in South Africa are more structural, to get the structure correct. And so the move now is really to go down to early childhood education to say, let's get the foundation right there in literacy and in numeracy. And I think what government is hoping is if you get, like the universities now are being sponsored to have teachers with a degree level qualification in early childhood education. That way South Africa is hoping if we do that and go to the foundation level, then things are going to be easier now going into primary and secondary. I think this is where we are.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I hope it will be very successful. Yeah, I mean, because different countries face different challenges. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Okay, Professor Zhang?
In Hong Kong, I think there are two main issues raised recently. One related to the curriculum and the textbook. The one is the promote mathematical modeling. I think this is not new in mainland China. In other, for example, New Zealand, even there's a so-called new perspective under the mathematical thinking, but it's new for Hong Kong math teachers. And the purpose is to promote STEAM education. So why we conduct mathematical modeling in math education, but which is quite new for math teacher in Hong Kong. So as the government published some reports, so since this academic year, at least one math teacher shall be trained in each public school through some mathematical modeling workshop or training program. This is one thing. Second is the issue of the digital literacy promoted by the chief executive in his government report. So math education community, we are considering how to integrate these two elements into the new curriculum review, but it's not easy because we have lots of problems need to be solved in the math curriculum to how to integrate the mathematical modeling and the digital literacy into the existing curriculum. They are discuss some possible solution strategies to promote some, for example, some projects for the teachers or explore some possible space for the school curriculum. Let's say we may find some space for the teacher to conduct the mathematical modeling in two learning units. One is the investigation and exploration. The second unit is further application. These two units have been written in the current curriculum. But in the future, how many activities should be taught or should be adopted in the math curriculum? There is under discussion. So we are explore some suitable way.
Yeah, very interesting. I have another question, but I will wait before. Yeah, can you? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I will mention two aspects that, according to me, are interesting aspects because I already said that as Association of Researchers in Mathematics Education in Italy, we raised some issues So there are some problems to be solved with the draft of national guidelines, but I think there are two aspects that are interesting. One is the STEM education, the role of mathematics in the interaction with other disciplines, and a focus on interdisciplinary approaches to the teaching of the STEM disciplines, which I think it's the future.
It's interdisciplinary approach.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Although the problem is that it's not clear how in these guidelines interdisciplinarity is conceived.
Yeah.
And some examples are given that are not good. So these are, and the other aspects, if they is an attention to the integration of digital technologies into teaching. So this is another important aspect, I think, that we cannot avoid to consider.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. Interdisciplinary is also emphasized in Hong Kong, in Macau, in mainland China. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Can you ask some questions? Yeah, please. Changlie, do you have questions? You ask or later? Professor Sang? Do you? Okay. Because I have a few more questions, but I would like to have some. Okay. So third question online, not yet. Okay. Is related to, let me explain this way. So in mass education development, including mass curriculum or teaching instructional reform, so sometimes government play a major role, like I showed earlier, say, mass education reform is around or centered around AI. So that's a clear signal to everyone in Macau. So in Jobin's case, you mentioned the CEO, chief executive, chief executive, say they want to, what did you say anyway? Digital literacy.
Digital literacy.
In Singapore, you never know abacus. When I was teaching in Singapore, abacus is in curriculum, in primary school curriculum. And why? Because the Singapore's national, they say the father, Lee Kuan Yew, say it should be included. So that's the biggest reason behind it. Then in China, if you notice, all mathematics textbooks, including English translation of some key terms, like 三角形, they will break triangle. That's because one of the government leaders say we should, because it's an open policy, we should introduce some English terms. Some people never know, did not know, but yeah, this is kind of local knowledge. Anyway, that is one part. But the mass educators, especially researchers, also play sometimes a major role. So one is like realistic mathematics education, follow data. Okay, and then you mentioned the mathematical modeling. Now a lot of Chinese young researchers in mass education doing teachers noticing. So I don't know if their work will affect the practice of curriculum development or teaching training or interdisciplinary is the same thing. Interdisciplinary, a lot of things. So my question is, how do you think, or what's your view about the government and education researchers' roles in pushing here mass education forward? So have you thought about this? So what are the advantages or disadvantages, whatever, can you share your thinking about this part? We start from the middle. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Professor Jill Eckler,
Yeah.
as an example, is one person that is highly respected in South Africa.
Okay.
And so herself and others put together a project which came up with the Vets Maths Connect project in primary and secondary schools to really look at the problem of professional development. And because it was them, then the money was afforded to those projects for over 10 years. The primary one is still running now. Whenever we have the minister and the education, the basic education, doing any work at all, the researchers are called in. So I think what is good in South Africa is that government and research are not fighting. They are actually working together. The new thing now in the Department of Basic Education looks like everyone working there is getting a PhD. In mathematics education, in everything, is getting a PhD. Because the move is you cannot be in that office taking big decisions without knowing what research is happening. So I think they are talking together, and I think it's a big plus.
Yeah. Thank you very much. By the way, just in case some of our participants do not know, Joe Edler was Manoa's supervisor. Joe Edler was the president of ICMAI 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Yeah. Thank you. Then Mark, how's the situation in Netherlands? You're a policymaker or you're a researcher?
I'm not a policymaker at all, but I do have to take policy into account when developing the legal curriculum. Well, I think one of the main aspects that's putting forward by both government and researchers together at this moment in the Netherlands is the need for numeracy and numeracy for digital, numeracy for citizenship. Okay. And it's both pushed forward by researchers and the government. You have also some things that are pushed forward by the government and pushed backward by researchers, but that's less interesting.
Yeah. Well, but they have the same goal for the social development. I mean, yeah, their objective is the same, yeah. But maybe sometimes they have different ways of thinking, or yeah, whatever. Then, Diana.
Yeah. In 2022, we have new reform, and then government try to have new textbooks. Government invite researchers to make new textbooks. However, they set time limitation. So my conclusion is that the researchers, they have role in curriculum development, but the government have more role in the curriculum development. So that's my conclusion.
Okay. Thank you very much. So how about yeah.
I have two roles, I think.
Yeah.
The first is, I think, is a mass educator. But I have another chance to attend two committees in Hong Kong Education Bureau. One is Curriculum Committee, the other is the Basic Competency Committee. So I'm not an officer at first, okay, but in these committees, I will sometimes raise some my voice or my observation on the emerging issue, for example, the mathematical modeling. I remember in one occasion, they talk about the mathematical modeling and promote mathematical modeling for teachers. So I raised the issue. How can we train the primary math teachers' mathematical modeling competency? It's a big challenge. Because most voice talk about the secondary math teacher, but you know, the student, they experience from primary to second level. So I think at this moment, a math educator could play a role in the government committee. Otherwise, they may just move on their own track.
That's right.
Yeah, another thing is a math educator, we should closely collaborate with the local schools because there's a distance between government and the school. So the educators maybe stand in the middle. So it's a connection and a bridge, the two sides. So I introduced some ideas to the school teachers and school principals. They know some policy, but they don't know how to do. So the university educators have a chance to teach and collaborate with them. So I think these two roles can be integrated together to promote some new or some emerging issues in math curriculum.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. Yeah, please.
Yes, as regards Italy, I already said that things have changed. That is, in the past, I think that researchers in mathematics education played a significant role in the development of mathematical curriculum. There was a paradigm that was called research for innovation, that was named by two famous researchers from Italy, Ferdinando Arzarello, that was another ICME president, and Mariolina Bartolini Bussi, so the famous and noticed at the international level. And according to most of these ideas, were implemented also by the ministry, and in particular there were projects founded, there were fundings to support the collaboration between university researchers and teachers. This is why previously I used the term teacher researchers. While the last document was written by a commission that is officially constituted only by pedagogists. So people with that knows about general pedagogy, but not about the didactic of disciplines.
Yeah.
And so the result is that there is not much coherence with the previous documents that were the result of the collaboration between teachers of school and university researchers in mathematics education. And so I don't know what will be the future. Although I think that the ministry needs teacher educator to make teachers know the new guidelines and implement the new guidelines. So there should be at a certain point a collaboration, since we are, as Xiaoping said, brokers between the institutions and the school. So let's see what will happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, sharing give me a lot of inspirations. I'd like to share some. 数学教育应该掌握在数学家的手里。我不是那名字，是那个北京的一个教授。Will you be able to translate it into Chinese, English? Yeah.
Somebody. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you can you translate it so other people know?
Okay. So just Professor Fan mentioned that in mainland China there's a words mentioned by some educator or mathematician. I'm not sure. Mathematics should be mostly controlled. Okay.
No, math education should be
math education should be controlled by mathematician.
That's in public. So people ask me, I say no, I don't agree. Then math education should be controlled by math educators. No, I don't agree. Math education should be controlled by the government. I also don't. I say math education, if you see control, is a strong word. I still use this word, control. By those people who really know math education, no matter he's a mathematician or math educator or government officer, I mean, the label is horrible. I mean, it's too exclusive. I think about worse things is in the United States, they have mathematics war. So this does not get things straightforward, get things very complicated. Yeah, mathematical. I once asked Professor Ellen Schoenfeld from Berkeley. Of course, I had a great respect. We were very good. So he was visited Singapore. I invited him to give a presentation. And then I asked his question when we go for dinner. I said, hey, you're so famous. He was a president of AI. But the California math education is not that great. Why they did not follow your suggestion, whatever. He answered somehow, but eventually it's complex. Sometimes researchers' ideas might not get into government's hands. Yes. And now in California, the person who's in charge is not Deborah, the person very famous, Joe Bola. Then there is this kind of dispute. Even for mass educators, they have different views. So in the States, when we ask, in the United States, because I got degree from the United States, when we ask, oh, education reform should be research-based, that is naive, because researchers have different views. To whom you listen? So the person who's a decision maker should be very much informed, should be knowledgeable. Yeah, because researchers are different. So in China, sometimes people also, oh, this is research-based. They look at what kind of research. So we must produce scientific, solid, rigorous research. Otherwise, we might be misleading others, especially policymakers. If they don't know, they don't have good insight. Yeah. Anyway, so this is very much inspired. Then in the United States, I know, but in the UK, I worked 8 years there. I know in the 1990s, also later, when the government want to push policy document, sometimes they don't ask professors. They ask industry leaders. They work much faster. Yeah. Can I have a few more minutes to explain? Because for researchers, for university research, often they think about the promotion. They want to write papers, they publish it, they don't care if how many people will read it. As long as they publish in top journal, they get promoted into chair professor. That's not right. So I think we need to have a certain kind of social responsibility. I don't think I did it very well. I tried, but I'm not very good in this part. We have a lot of PhD students here, so I hope you will also have kind of social responsibility. You get your voice heard by the government officials, so it can become in the process of policy making. Very interesting. Yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you. I can relate to a lot that you were saying. In California and the US, the term math wars was used. And also in the Netherlands, the term math wars was used in the 0 years of this century. But my institution has learned a lot from previous attempts of curriculum reform. So what we did in the process of the curriculum reform, the curriculum renewal that I talked about earlier this afternoon, is that we attempted to include all voices, both the different voices from researchers, but also the different voices from teacher educators and from school advisors and so on. And we did so by including in the team that did the first developments, teachers of different beliefs about math educations, math experts of different backgrounds, and including all relevant stakeholders regarding math education, regardless of their opinions, in the advisory board. And we included both proponents and opponents in the experts that we consulted. And as a result, nowadays, the politicians of all different parties in the Netherlands, and we have quite a lot of political parties in the Netherlands. Our government always consists of 3 or 4 or more political parties because we have so much different opinions. But at this moment, politicians of all different political parties say, apart from some details, you've done a good job. So regardless of whether our government has fallen now, we may still be optimistic about whether the new curriculum will be implemented. So I think the key of what I'm saying is to include everybody into your development process and your collecting feedback process.
Very important, very useful, I think. Also, international exchange sometimes is also very helpful in making a national policy, curriculum policy. For example, in China, we have had a few times curriculum reform, mass education curriculum. So like a proof, you mentioned argumentation, and we used a proof, geometrical proof. So about 20 years ago, Professor Liu Jie, who's the leader of the curriculum reform, would like to reduce the content about in proof. So now a proof is the idea like argument can also learn from algebra, from arithmetic. Before is geometric proof, 几何证明. So some mathematicians say no, geometric proof is fundamental to develop students' logical reasoning, thinking that can use this reason. Then another reason, when they ask me, I say no. You look at all the internet countries, China has the most content in this part, spend most of the time, so we should reduce it. Then I think that is also valid argumentation. If you spend most time in one topic compared to all other countries, I think probably you can consider this a little bit. You don't put more and more. So I think international perspective sometimes also helps to convince people who, because mathematicians, of course, I also have great respect for mathematics, but sometimes they just limit their thinking from mathematical perspective. They think students learn for becoming mathematicians. That is not true. This is learning mathematics is for the students' own development, social development, to serve the needs of the society. Mathematics is one of it. But anyway, so exchanging sometimes could help. Okay. I always invite questions from floor physically or online. Do you have any further questions? Online, if you want to ask in Chinese, it's fine. My English is not that great. I can easily translate it into English. Here, you have questions? Professor Yang, you have questions? No. Yeah. It's your show time. No.
Have a chance to say something.
I don't want to say something negative here because before I came here, I worked around 10 years in mainland China. I think according to my former experience in mainland China is a mathematics education researcher, you know. No, it's quite difficult to say something if new policy is going to be issued, you know. Yeah, it's quite difficult. It's just we said, you know, especially in mainland China, for mathematics curriculum is always, how to say, dominated by mathematicians, not by mathematics education researchers. That's what I can say, you know, from primary school to senior secondary school, you know, yeah. They will never say, okay, ask, respect math education researchers appearing. So that's a sad part for us. Yeah. Yeah, because we, as Chinese math education researchers, we already heard quite a lot about the debates between mathematics education researchers and the mathematicians, and also the, how to say, general education researchers as well, right? Yeah, so, yes. Yeah. You should say more, you know. Yes.
Thank you. Any others? 谢谢那个线上的参与者，你们如果有问题用中文讲也是可以的，我会翻译成英文啊，谢谢你们。好，any further questions here? Yes, please. Thank you very much. Alex, can you pass the microphone? Yeah.
可能需要范院长帮我翻译一下。就
Yeah.
我有2个问题，第一个我就比较好奇他们这些地区和国家他们上一次的数学教材改革是有多少年了？就间隔是有多少年了
OK.
然后第二个问题就是，
我应该翻译。 一个一个分，好吧。So the question is very simple because of time. We don't have much time. So can you give a very brief answer? So the current textbooks in your country have been used for how many years?
In my countries,
Yeah.
the book can be changed every 3 years in schools. And so after the reform that I presented, new textbooks were written, but teachers are free to choose the textbook that they prefer. And they have to keep these textbooks for 3 years, and then they can change them again. So
But
we don't have textbooks suggested by the ministry or written by editors that that works with the ministry somehow. So I think the situation is very different from other countries.
So my translation might not be very accurate. So the curriculum has been implemented for how many years?
The curriculum, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, as regards Italy,
Yeah.
The present curriculum was developed the first year in 2007 and then 2012 for the first cycle. Yes, and 2018, but in 2018, they only stress on the more important aspects of 2012. So 13 years.
Yes, high school is 2010.
But an aspect important that we, in the actual debate we are highlighting, is that there are some teachers that still don't know that curriculum. Because those who really works and dictate the direction are textbooks, not the curriculum. So there's the need of making more professional development on national guidelines in Italy.
Thank you so much. Do I need to translate? 我要翻译为中文吗？不用啊。Okay, Jia in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong, I think the textbook revision is related to the curriculum review. The latest curriculum review is published in 2017. The implementation since 2019. So currently, the textbook is used the version published in 2019 since primary level. And the secondary level is later. For example, I remember maybe 2020. So this is the textbook version.
Thank you. How about 2011? So it has been 13 years.
Well, in the Netherlands, there is a tendency to renew the curriculum around every 10 years. But it has never actually happened because every time a renewal is proposed, there is so much public debate and debates in politics because of our freedom of education that it always takes longer. So our current curriculum dates from 2006, and discussions about, well, we should start renewal because of all the societal changes started in 2014. There were 2 attempts to renew that were both disapproved of by the government of that time. And now we're in the 3rd attempt, and now we seem to be successful. So then it will be around 20 years since our latest renewal.
Thank you very much. How about Indonesia?
It has been 3 school years. The new reform has been implemented since 2022.
So just reformed.
Just reformed.
2 years ago.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me answer it a bit more of my own thought. In Japan, in China, it's widely believed that Japan reform its curriculum every 10 years. I don't know if it's still true, but unfortunately we don't have Japanese math educator here. Yeah, every 10 years they will reform the math curriculum. And then in China, the latest for senior high school, year 10 to 11, that was implemented in 2018. For compulsory education stage is 9 years. It's implemented 2022. 22 only. So the phase has not been finished. I mean, they replace 1 year by year. So some use older curriculum, some use new. Depends on the grade your student are studying. And then in UK, I know because I was a professor there. So the latest curriculum was issued in 2014. So it has been very long, 11 years. So now they are working on it. It has not been released, as you said, often it caused a lot of debate, controversy. So I think the government, UK government is looking into it. They already form some working group on it. But the official one has not been released. So curriculum reform is a bigger matter in the whole country. Do you want to ask Macau? Macau does not have, we don't have a national or regional or citywide curriculum. So that's the uniqueness of Macau. So government is, I mean, Jiao Qingjue, okay, does not have control over the mathematics curriculum. We also don't have universal examination for like a Gaokao. Do you know Gaokao? Gaokao in China, do you know Gaokao? Gaokao means college entrance examination. That's the most high stake exam at the end of year 12. This year it was taking place after tomorrow. After tomorrow, oh no, the day after tomorrow. Gaokao in mainland. 6月7号、8号、9号是不是？ Yeah, in a few days' time. So that will be a national event. So like a car cannot, you know, press the horn near the Gaokao venues or a lot of things. A whole police will be mobilized to protect the students. Yeah, or its biggest. That has a history of 1,000 years. Gaokao, before the Chinese government, ancient times, used testing to select the government officials. Yeah, so they think Gaokao is you mentioned fairness and equity. It's fair. So you cannot go backdoor to human. Otherwise, yeah, so anyway. So your question is great. It generates a lot of discussion. Yeah. What's your second question?
出于什么原因，政府需要觉得要开展新的一轮课程改革呢？
Okay, so for what reasons the government want to start a new round of curriculum reform? So we start from you. Yeah. You are in National Institute for Curriculum.
That's a great question. Let me give an example from the Netherlands around 2010. Then a friend of the Minister of Education of that time, that friend had a daughter, and his daughter wanted to study pedagogy to become a primary school teacher. That daughter did not pass the math test at the first year of mathematics education, of the teacher education program. So that became a huge topic in the Netherlands, that primary school teachers were not able to calculate themselves. And as a result, within 1 year, a document was developed which aimed at testing students at the end of primary school and at the end of secondary school. And that one of the tests is what you refer to, the math test at the end of primary school, to determine to what secondary school students should go. So in the Netherlands, there is a weakness in our system that political considerations who are not relevant at all can play a huge part. So there are a few other European countries in which this is the same. And we are now attempting to go from a system to renew or reform the curriculum once every 10 years to a system of curriculum maintenance, to maintain the curriculum consistently not consistently, but continuously. And one of the main factors is to exclude governments from influence on the math curriculum, no, on all curriculum of schools. So that is what we're attempting now. Well, and if I come back in a year or 10 or so, maybe I can tell you whether or not that this has succeeded.
Yeah. That's a great question. I also have a lot to share, but let's listen to them. Yeah.
South Africa, 1994, end of apartheid, then new curriculum. 2005, problems with this new curriculum, we had to change it, so we changed it, and then 2011, so we are still happy for now.
Thank you very much.
In Hong Kong, we have at least two kinds of factors, but which is very similar to other places. For example, the first one is the development of society. I remember the very important curriculum reform at since 2000 years around the world. Many countries and many regions launched the new curriculum reform just because of the 21st century. So develop student 21st century skills. The second issue related to the so-called ranking, international ranking. The ranking not just for students and also the city, the economics. So we'll keep the competition of the society. So we'll need to develop some new skills, a new element, and add this element into the school education curriculum. So equip the student for the future. That's why in Hong Kong, we talk about learning to learn, and learning to learn 2.0. Yes, 2.0. Maybe in the future, learning to learn 3.0, right? So here, learning to learn, the society they had lots of knowledge. So we need to save time for students to keep the future. So two issues. One is for the society needs. The other is the international ranking, because the Hong Kong is very small, so we need to keep the competition.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, if officially, I think the reasons behind the changing in curriculum are good reasons. That is taking in consideration what is changes around, the innovation, what happens, for example, Italy is in Europe, so what other European countries, how other European countries work, or as Xiaoping mentioned, the PISA results that for Italian students were quite bad at the beginning of 2000 and now are improved. So there was an effect. But I have to say that, unfortunately, there are also often economical reasons. That is, the education ministry often in Italy has very few money to spend. And so some changes were chosen in order to, decrease the money spent for education. And it is really a pity. It is really a pity because there are no investments also in the teacher education, and this is a pity.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we have 4 or 13 more minutes, so now your turn. Yeah. A bit louder.
Yes. And then they focus on differentiated instruction and project-based learning. But unfortunately, the project-based learning they give a freedom for teachers to work with math and non-math problem. And the result, teachers work with non-math problem. So the math knowledge itself is omitted. So it's kind of controversial.
Okay. So I really would like to answer your question as well. That's a great question. To me, let me summarize. So why government want to do it? So the factor that influence the curriculum reform, including the following: political reason. In South Africa, in Hong Kong, in mainland China, this is most evident. In, cultural revolution? Cultural revolution in China. 有10 years 文化大革命。So after 文化大革命, the curriculum must be changed because something was believed correct, later was proved wrong. For example, Liu Shaoqi 主席 during the Cultural Revolution, the textbook say he's a bad guy. But after that, he's a good guy. So the practical influence is there. It's a real world. So something totally changed. And so one is the practical reason the government, the South African government, 94 or 90. So you simply cannot use the previous textbooks because textbook also cultivate students' ideology, practical belief, that kind of things. So one is economical, we already mentioned. One is international test research, like assessment. So because curriculum could be one factor influence students' learning outcome. And nowadays, if your country is stable, luckily now in China we are quite stable. Yeah. And so we're talking about science, technology, AI, ICT. They were not reflected in math curriculum in 90s. I wrote an article, I give the most criticism. I say Chinese textbook, math textbook is isolated from the development of technology. It's in an article published in 1995. Now I don't. I think now Chinese curriculum already integrated. AI is not very evident, but eventually we will also have AI. But we need to have ideally research-based. But you cannot wait for research because research can take years, and then yeah. And so there are different reasons. You can write an article about it. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. I saw Sophie is there. Yeah, Sophie is asking a question. Dr. Sophie Lee is an associate professor in East China Normal University who got a PhD from Columbia University. Yeah. Okay. While Sophie can have time typing in the question, I have we only have 10 more minutes, so I want to ask the last question I prepared. Today we have total about more than 50. So here is 30 now less, but before, then we have about 15. Yeah, here we have more than 40 people. Now some left because they have teaching or some other commitment. So many of them are young mathematics education researchers, including PhD and EDD students. So if you are prestigious speakers, if you are going to offer 1 or 2 pieces of advice for them to develop, to grow in math education area, so what was they? 1 or 2 pieces of advices for our young colleagues. In China, you cannot give all 躺平. Do you know 躺平? You don't do anything, just wait. So this is excluded. Then what you start first? Yeah.
I think it depends a lot on the research interest.
Yeah.
First of all, so I would say what I usually say to PhD students that first of all you have to identify what are your interests also as an individual, because only if you are motivating in performing a research you will I think have good results. And then another important thing is to know about this specific topic, what around the world has been done and written. Obviously, the only tool that we have are journals, especially journals that are often written in English. So maybe not all the voices of researchers around the world are in the journals, but it is a good starting point. So these are more practical.
Two. One is open up your mind to the whole world. So not narrowly minded, open mind.
Open mind,
and
yes.
The first is you need to make sure you are really interested.
Yes,
yeah.
And the other aspect, which is, I think, very important, at least for Italian research in mathematics education, is to consider the theoretical framework within which you want to pose yourself, because also the way in which you develop a question or a methodology, all of them are related to the paradigm, the theoretical paradigm within you pose yourself. And so after you identify a problem, you have to identify how you will, what kind of perspective you will adopt to see the problem and to investigate it.
Conceptual framework. So that really tests your knowledge and your skill. It also is a skill. Some people are very good in conceptualization. Some people are not so good. So we discuss conceptualization, conceptual framework. Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Zhang.
I think you are still young, I think, not just first.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank
First,
you.
I think my experience, the first one is curiosity. Yeah, you need to be curious about something, about the phenomenon.
Curiosity, yeah.
Yeah, that make you have some question or problems on these phenomena, the problems, and then you need to concentrate on the exploration. So concentration is important. And the third, I think you should have a critical thinking or critical inquiry, which means don't just trust Professor Fan, okay? Don't trust me. Don't trust
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, trust yourself based on some evidence, based on the study, based on scientific method. It's quite very important in the education research.
Yeah, so curiosity and concentration and criticality. I think this is most important. Great, thank you. You're also a faster thinker, because that question was not prepared before. Yeah.
Firstly, make good friends. I made good friends with Professor Fan. I wouldn't be here. I've been to Shanghai because of him. I've been to lots of places. So make good friends because they open up your horizon. You get to know the world. I wouldn't have met the people that I'm sitting here with if it were not for those friends. That's the first thing. The second thing, there's never going to be enough time in the world to write. Create it. I know from experience that I haven't done much writing because I haven't had time. We'll never have enough time, so create that time for writing.
Thank you. I cannot agree more. That's I think good networking is critical, because that will expand your horizon of your knowledge, your way of your thinking. So in Chinese we say 走万里路，什么读外卷书, something like this. So today also is a good, evidence. So I also learned a lot from, especially Italy. I never heard of Italian curriculum before. Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Mark.
Yes. Well, I think personally that two things are great about mathematics education, and the first thing is the students, however young they are, and the second thing is mathematics. So my advice is not to see mathematics as a fixed given, but as something that all humans do, including very young students, and that you should always listen to your students to follow their reasoning and to find their mathematical ways of thinking, and take that as a basis to help them learn, develop more.
That's right. So you needed to kind of observing eye on students' learning of mathematics. Also have a good knowledge of mathematics, is what you say?
Yeah, of course, certainly. It's a bit like Freudenthal said. You mustn't take the mathematics of mathematicians as a starting point for mathematics education, but you must take the thinking of your students as a starting point.
That's great. So I also ask my PhD students to study mathematics now, because I'm accepting 3 more PhD students in September. So what I'm doing now, I say you study mathematics textbooks, advanced mathematics at master doctoral level. So they're doing it now. I have no evidence. Maybe they're not doing it, but I did ask. Your question?
Go to school.
Yeah.
Like most problems are in the school, in the class. So we need to go to school, to the classroom. Besides that, we also need to look for the environment. For example, like ethnomathematics, like happen around us.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we needed to in Chinese 接地气啊。 We don't do our study within our ivory tower. So we go to school, so we understand better what's really happening in schools and classrooms. That's great. It's amazing. They can give us all different answers. There's no limitation. Yeah, we should compile a book. There's someone to write down. So Ethan, can you still remember? Maybe we should not repeat. Yeah, okay. Very nicely, we got in Chinese taught. 不是，实际上他不是托。Dr. Sophie Lee asked questions, so we have obligation to answer before we finish. Dr. Lee, thank you so much. So what she wrote is, thank you for the sharing. My question is about teacher educators. What kind of research or support should we have for this special group of teacher educators? She is a deputy department chair. So you mean at department level or faculty level or university level? What kind of research support should we have for teacher educator? Can you answer questions? Then second, to meet the challenge of a mass curriculum change, reform AI in mass teaching and learning, etc. What kind of exemplary practice can we learn from Italy, Netherlands, Indonesia, South Africa, and Hong Kong SAR? So, yeah, can you answer? Yeah, please. Yeah.
I think I can reply to the first question because second question we don't have answer. AI is new. The first one I think I talk about the teacher research fellow or teacher researchers. I think this relate to very important issue, lesson study or so-called Chinese lesson study. We have lots of experienced teachers at a school, and if we as a math teacher educator, how to support, I think a good way is link theory and practice together. But the role for us, I think, is a co-teacher. I think maybe a co-learning because always sometimes as a university teacher teach these teachers, but they're very experienced. So I think not we teach them, but we learn with them, or we use some collaborative activity, for example, project-based or some program-based activity to learn from each other. So help them to conceptualize their experience, and then they have a chance to express their own experience, and then propose some new ideas or innovative strategies to the other school teachers. So to help, I think, use our so-called expertise in the research or research methodology, and combine their rich experience together to help the school teachers. This is my view of this issue.
So I think if I understand correctly, Dr. Lee refers to 教业员. So teacher educator, because she added on teaching research fellows or facilitator. That might be unique in some countries. In China, 教业员, I don't know how to translate. First, 教业员 means in a bureau, education bureau. That person is kind of working in the government office, don't teach, but help school teachers how to teach. Sometimes develop curriculum materials. Sometimes do evaluation of teachers' classroom teaching. But he might be a teacher before, but he does not teach anymore. Became a facilitator. So he's very powerful. If you want to be famous outside of your country, he will recommend, or she. If you need to go through a 教业, so we call it teaching research office. So, but Netherlands, do you have such a kind of position?
I'm not sure what question I am supposed to answer actually right now. But in response to your words, I would say never stop teaching. I still teach, not daily, not as often as I would like to, but I still do. So never stop teaching.
Yeah. Do we have Joy in Macau? We don't. Okay. Please.
In South Africa, we have what we call subject advisors. So they work closely with the teacher from the district, and they provide assistance with the subject and everything else. So what we do with researchers is to provide professional development for the subject advisors.
Yeah.
And when we have done that, they take that to go and work with the teachers. So we do a separate professional development for them, where we talk more deeply about theory of learning and other stuff that we usually don't talk to the teachers about.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are 5 minutes over, but consider we started 5 minutes later, so we're on time. Yeah.
Maybe I never stop to talk to teachers.
Oh, okay. So in Indonesia, you don't have such a role.
We do have, but sometimes they have a big gap. Like I am the advisor, and then you are the teacher. So
yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sophie. Lucas, we wait for you to provide the answers when you do more research in this area. So you have anything to say?
No, as regards the question about facilitators and so on, in Italy, figures like this do not exist exactly, but there was a reform in the last 2 years of the professional development for pre-service teachers, and now new figures are introduced of coordinator of internships that are teachers from school that works also for the university. And I think that in some cases, they have, for example, the one that works with me has also a PhD in mathematics education. So in this case, they are well prepared and they understand what it means to be this kind of broker. In other cases, not. Right. So I think I believe on the importance of coordinating theory and practice in mathematics education. So I think that this kind of teacher educator should also know theories in mathematics education to be aware of how practices should be implemented in some ways and the reasons behind this. So. That's right. And it's another element, but obviously I agree with what the others said about it.
Thank you very much, Sophie, for your great questions. I think it's under research area because it's a special group. Most countries don't have it, but some countries do have it. Like in German, I think they have a certain kind of teaching fellow. In China, it's full-time, like a professional liaison person, officer between school teachers and bureau chiefs. So taking care of different subjects. One subject, they have one teaching fellow or two for primary, secondary, and so on. So Professor Lee, you want to say this?
Hello, thank you. No, hello, Sophie. Again, I know Sophie. There's work by Susan Prediger.
Yeah.
She has done the professional development with facilitators and not the teachers. So that is another work in Germany that she could look into as well. And I think it's one of the big examples of research happening with the facilitators.
That's right. Thank you very much. So Sophie, I think your answer is half answered, half not answered, your questions. So they're a long way, but to me, it's a special area. I think we need to do this, but we cannot just do this part. We need also to, cover other questions. But this is a very good point. Okay. Any further? Wei Song, you have questions? Wei Ming, you? Okay. Thank you for your understanding. We are running out of time. We are already over time. Wally, you don't have? Okay. So online participants, we appreciate your company. And if you don't have further questions, and then I would be happily seeing we are done. Thank you so much. Yeah. And if you have further questions, you write email to me or to our events team, we will forward. As Manoa mentioned, a good working network is most helpful. So I hope you feel free to get connected with us. Thank you again. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Well done. Yeah.